What is going on, guys and girls? It's the Short Bear, and today we're going to talk about CODX. CODX is a stock that we traded in the past, right? Quite a lot actually, and every time it gaps up, it just fades back down and kind of closes at the lows. All right. So today I wanted to take some time to kind of answer the questions I got on it, because I thought a lot of you guys didn't understand why it wouldn't fade into the close, right? Why it just didn't dump completely, and in general, why I thought they might try to close it right around $2. So, um, I thought they would close it at $2 because the reason is that they can raise more. If the higher they close it, the more they can raise, basically. And as you're going to see, they really needed the raise, so the offering. Another thing that kind of held it up was the news, all right, with the coronavirus. That gives, the stocks a lot of kind of buyers, a lot of hype, a lot of sector hype. That kind of holds it up, right? And that is why after the offering day, we saw that kind of move sideways and up, and then after hours, kind of that pop yesterday, so on Friday. Because there's a lot of hype, a lot of shorts are still in it because of the offering, and it pops. I saw a lot of you guys in chat thinking, all right, it's a good idea to long after an offering. Trust me, it's not. All right, I know the stats. It's just the sector that is kind of hot right now. So keep it in mind for the future, or if you're not trading this sector, it's usually not going to work out and badly. So let's get right into it. All right, this is BAM-SEC for those that don't know. All right, it's the website I use to go through the filings. And I've got a process that I do every single time. Doesn't matter which stock, so we're going to go through everything together right now. So I'm going to click on the 10Q, most recent one, and I'm going to take down DOS, so 17.3 million outstanding as of November 8th, 2019, and I'm going to write that down right away. After that, we're going to click on financial statements, or you can just scroll down, and we're going to look at the cash and cash equivalents right here. So we're going to write down 2.544 as of September 30th, 2019. I'm just going to cut that and write EOS 2019, which stands for end of September 2019. After that, I'm going to look at the total current assets, so 3 million here, and divide that by the total current liabilities right here, which gives me a ratio of 10.04. That's the current ratio. That's how I call it. After that, we've got the NWC, which is the net working capital. And to calculate that, we're going to take the total current assets and subtract the total current liabilities, which gives us 2.77 million. And after that, we're going to scroll down just a bit. Accumulated deficit right here, 23 million, and we're going to write that down as well. After that, we're going to go Control F and going to look for cash flow. Either you click on this link right here, or you just scroll down a bit more, and we're going to look at the first table, and we're going to look for net cash used in operating activities. All right, that's how much cash they use, and we're going to see 3.9 million, and we're going to look for the top of the table, which is going to tell us in the time period in which they burned the cash. So 9 months, all right, and it's September 30th, they burned 3.9 million. So we're going to take that number and divide it, so 3.9 divided by the periods divided by 9, which gives us 430,000 cash burn, all right, per month. So that's how much cash they burn. So if we look at the cash, 2.5 million, all right, and we look at the time period, so the EOS means end of September, we still have a few months after that, right, until now. So we've got October, November, December, and now January, which is almost done. Which gives us 4 months, right? 4 times 430,000 is 17.2 million, I believe. I'm right. Yeah, I think I'm right. That's how much cash they burn, right, in that time period. So 1.7 million, and we're going to subtract that from the cash number, right, which gives us right around 800,000 cash left, all right, that they still have right now. Which means, all right, with the cash burn, they still have 2 months of cash left, right? So they need cash bad because they're not going to, kind of use cash they don't have or whatever. They're going to look for the easiest way to get money, which is going to be an offering, right? So once we did the research on the 10Q, we're going to look at the prospectuses and registrations, and we're going to look at can they raise, what did they raise from. So as you can see, they've got an S1 right here. An S1 is usable only once, right? So this S1 got amended once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and after that the offering came right here. Now this amount raised from the S1 doesn't need to be subtracted from the amount raised, all right? Because as you know, or you might know, if not, I'm going to explain it right now. A stock that has an MDPHS under 75 million can only raise 1/3 of the number. So let me rephrase that. So the stocks are subject to a rule. That rule is the baby shelf rule. If a stock has an MDPHS of over 75 million, they are not subject to the baby shelf. If, however, they are under that 75 million MDPHS, they are subject to the baby shelf rule. The baby shelf rule is basically a rule that kind of stops you regarding the offerings. If you are under 75 million, you can only raise 1/3 of your NDPHS. Now it might be, kind of strange. You might not understand exactly what I mean. So we're going to go through this example to kind of, explain exactly what is going on and what they can do and how the baby shelf rule works. All right, we're going to do that right now. So we're going to go look at the daily chart, all right? And the MDPHS is calculated by 2 things: the highest closing price within the last 60 days and the float, all right? The highest closing price before the running day, of course, is going to be this day right here, all right? And that close is 120, so we're going to write that down. So we write down 120, highest closing price within the last 60 days, and the float is 10.7. Now, I just got the float from Yahoo or Finviz, it doesn't really matter. For this example, all right, we just want to know approximately how much they can raise, right, to compare it with the new closing price. So 1.2 is the highest closing price, and 10.7 is the float, and we're going to multiply those 2 things. So 1.2 is the closing price times 10.7, all right, standing for 10,700,000. And we're going to get the number 12.84, all right? 12,840,000 is the MDPHS, all right? So highest closing price in the last 60 days times the float, 12.84. So as the MDPHS, as this number is under 75 million, they can only raise 1/3 of their MDPHS, which is 12.84. In this case, prior to the run, they could raise 4.28 million, right? But if they hold the price at 2 million, right? At $2, I mean, the calculation, the equation would look like this: $2 times 10.7 million is going to be equal to 21.4 million. And as that is still under 75 million, we're going to divide that by 3, and it gives us 7.13, right? So through the gap up, through the hold at $2, they're going to be able to raise more than 3 million additional dollars, right? So 3 million more just holding the price up, and if they just let it, fade back to 150 on that day, they would only have been able to raise right around 5 million, something around there, right? So through the hold at $2, they're going to be able to raise 2 million more, right around there. So Why was that possible, right? Why did they hold it? How did they hold it, right? They made the stock pretty easy to borrow, right? So the locates were pretty cheap, right? A lot of people had them, and at the same time we had the hype with the whole virus thing, and that made it kind of easy to hold it up, right? So on this channel, I think news came out, for example, perfect for them because they don't have to use as much capital to do so, right? So once we know how much they can raise, we need to see, did they raise anything during the last 12 months, all right? Because this is only the amount you can raise if you didn't raise anything during the last 12 months. So in this case, we're going to look at the filings and we're going to see, all right, the only thing they really raised was, that S1, so S1 amended and the 44 before, but it's in 2017, all right? So one thing is it's in 2017, which means it's not during the last 12 months. And at the same time, the S1 is not subject to the baby shelf rule. All right, so if you have an S1, you can basically raise how much you want. You're still subject to kind of a few rules, like, for example, you can't raise more than the shares that are authorized for the stock. And, a few other things like how much they're allowed to through their shareholders and stuff like that. But basically, the S1 is not subject to the baby shelf rule, and the S3 is. So in this case, we've got an S3 from 2018. So we're going to click on it, click on SEC Edgard, and on the file number to see if any effect filing is linked on it. So in this case, yes, the effect filing is on it. The S3 is there. The S3 is for 25 million, if I remember correctly. Here, 25 million. And now we've got everything, all right? Now we've got the whole picture. They've got no cash, all right? They are using the hype to push the stock up. They are holding the price through the ETB and through the hype itself. And, they can raise 7.1 million. So now you have the whole picture. And as they held it, all right, the closing price is there. Next morning, they kind of push it up real quick and start shorting a bit into it before the offering comes in. And the offering hits, the stock drops. All right, and in this case, what they did is this offering right here, and as you can see, how much they raised, 5.5 million, right around there at least. 5.5 million, all right, that's how much they raised, all right, and as you can see with the previous closing price, they couldn't have been able to do so, and now that they can raise 7.1 million, they basically raised, as much as they could. 5.5 million is just a round number, that's how much they can raise, all right, and in this case, as you can see, the float was actually the float was actually smaller than we thought. The float was 7.4 million. So in this case, let's check out how much they can raise, right? So 7.4, let's call it that, times it's the closing price. Closing price was 2.03. Times 0.03. 15, and then divided by 3. It's going to be 5 million. So, all right, I know what they might have done. So what they might have done is the float is 7.4 million, all right, 7.4 million as of January, right? I think what they did is when they gapped up the stock, they basically diluted into it, right? So that's why it kind of dumped at the open, why it looked so heavy at the open, right? So this candle basically here. What they did is they dumped stock, which diluted the stock itself, right? So they diluted it, so they've got the float is increasing, right, to a number So in this case, the number would be around 5.5 million. So what they raised basically times 3, right? So times 3 because they're under the MVPHS no matter what in this case. So 5.5 times 3 is going to be 16.5. All right, so 16.5, and then divided by the closing price, right? And the closing price is 2.03. So in this case, the float is going to be 8 million, right? So 8 million. So they diluted basically a few shares, right? So 700,000, that's how much they diluted into this run, which increased the float, which itself increased the amount they were able to raise, right? And once they did that, they were able to raise more, and that is why they raised as much as they could, right? And that's the whole picture. I know it's a bit difficult to understand, especially if you're not into filings or you just started. So just, kind of rewind the video, look at it multiple times, right? And you're gonna start, understanding exactly what I mean, all right? If you have any more questions, leave them in the chat or in the description. Yeah, I'll see you in chat.